go back over here and see if we can't make some more cookies, because we never did really complete that comparison, did we? And I have this one here I just finished, and I figure I can do some cookies on it before I go put it to work. And of course, what's interesting to me is, how do those saws start? And this would be that 372 X-Torq or 372 XT. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but look at the top plate right there on all those. They're really not that good. They got beat up pretty bad. And what I'm going to do is just see, by putting another chain on that same saw, we'll just take a couple more cookies, and I'm going to see whether or not that seemed to have made a difference on how well it cuts that log right there. That's a smooth cutting chain. That's that new ELX stuff from Oregon, and I happen to like it. And if you see a difference in times, I'm not going to go crazy trying to get the times, but if you do, that's why. So I'm going to go back to getting some work done. So the question is, do we have a saw or do we not have a saw? And hopefully by the end of this camera time, we will know. Seems like it runs better to me. Well, I think I have a saw. Let me do a restart on it, but I think it's running a little bit fat in the bottom. I can fix that with a screwdriver. But I think it's actually quite a bit better than it was. And assuming it restarts right here, I'm going to do a little more tweak and tune. But whatever was ailing it is not ailing it anymore, because it seems to me like it's running pretty good. here's the true test if you're still running. I think I'm getting low on fuel. Yeah, it's empty. So I'm going to fill it up with fuel, and I can feel it begin to get a little bit lean. I'm pretty much out of gas. So I'm going to load it back up and start cutting, because it wouldn't do that before. Once that thing stalled, you couldn't get it started. Camera off, go load it up. And if it fires up and I can get to the rest of that, we have a saw. All right, here's the test. I put about, I don't know, half a tank of that VP gas, 40-to-1. That's what I have for kind of a backup. And prior to this, it'd go lean and stop, and you could not restart it no matter what you did. And it would smell like rubber. Well, it doesn't smell like rubber anymore. And it ran pretty consistently until just, I don't know, a few seconds before I shut it off, when it started showing some lean symptoms. And I looked in the gas tank, it was pretty empty. Now I filled it back up, and let's see it goes back to its good running self. saw. Alright, what did we learn? Well, I broke a lot of that down, did all that work with that G372xt from Holzfforma. And that's the one I had gutted, filter holder, intake boot, no base gasket build. I sealed up the side caps for the transfers, put different gaskets for the muffler, and obviously used 1184 for the base gasket. the first thing I noticed is, well, it has more compression, and I think that helps it start a little easier. Ran it pretty much, you know, a tank and a half now, and it was fairly consistent across that whole period of time. I had that VP 40-to-1. It's been sitting around for a while, so I really don't know how good it is, but that's what I had for backup fuel. So the last half a tank I ran was with that stuff. It has good power. It has nice throttle response. It restarts on one pull. It does a lot of things right, so I would consider it right now a pretty good running saw. It'll sit there and idle after I leaned out the low speed just a little bit, and it's a one pull restart, and seemed like it was pretty easy on the initial start as well, even before I tweaked on the carburetor. So I'd say I have a saw. The question now is how long does it last? And I guess that's always a question with aftermarket. But I guess the point of that saw is it was a struggle, but if you stick with it, you can end up with a saw that runs just like that. And that's a pretty good running saw. I guess that's the message. If this had not worked, I basically would have just given up on the saw, but this did work. So I think there's hope for that saw. So it's snowing pretty good. It's got that like corn snow kind of thing. So I think I'm going to go up into the house and put together a video. And I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and say that I've solved the problem. But here's my dilemma. I don't know what I did to solve the problem. I did a lot of things, and I'm not sure which one of them actually was the solution to the problem for that saw. You know what I'm saying? So while I have a nice running saw and while I feel good about it, it's kind of bittersweet. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Talk to you later. Bye for now. By the way, Happy New Year.